Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Youth There It Is podcast. You know how we do it. Youth
Youth,
There It
there it
Is.
is.
Youth
Youth,
There
there
It
it
Is.
is.
I think JoJo puts the music in on some and not on others. So some, it's going to look really funny, and some, it's going to look a little cringy. But either way, we just did it. We
Doesn't
don't
matter
care.
because we're having fun, so doesn't
That's
matter.
right. We are having fun. We do not care.
We
My name
don't.
is Lisa Borzada. I am the Associate Director for Rules, Scoring, and Education for Waikata and a whole bunch of other stuff, which doesn't really matter right now. And I am yet again joined by my ever fabulous, always classy, sassy, a little fancy, and doing a happy dance because her kids had their first full day of school today. Say hello to Katey Choate. What? Back to school? Hey.
Hi,
I mean,
everybody. Yes, I am Katey Choate. I'm the Senior Rules Director for Waikata. And yeah, my kids, if doing this podcast, you guys might find out really quickly. For some reason, my kids' school has a lot of minimum days.
minimum days.
So many minimum days. So
Minimum
the
days.
whole actual first week of school was minimum days. And we live 15 minutes away from school. So it was not fun only leaving school for 2 hours and having to come right back. But today
Right.
was their first full day. So
Yeah. And let's say, quite honestly, we always hate to see summer go, but there is
yeah,
that point where it's like everybody needs to get back to their routine, right? Everyone
yeah.
needs to kind of get back to normal. And you guys go back a little bit earlier. We end
Mhm.
later here in Jersey, so they don't start until the end of the month or the beginning of September. But it gets to that point, and I've started to see like parents in like the grocery store, and you can just hear there's zero patience left, and it's like, oh yeah, those kids need to get back to school. Like
Yeah.
it is time to go back to school. So
I
happy back to
genuinely
school. Yeah,
love my summertime. I love summertime. I love spending with the kids. I hate
yeah,
when summertime's over, but you're right. It needs to come back. And just the minimum days. The minimum days are horrible. I don't like minimum days. So
horrible.
we're back to
Yeah,
normal as of today. Yeah.
back to full strength, which is fantastic. All
Yeah.
right. We have another special episode today with a special guest. But before we get to that, let's do the things that we do, which is kind of like our weekly update. Like, what, on top of getting everybody ready for back to school, there's also some work involved. So what was this past week like for you? Are you slowing down a little bit with clinics? Are you still doing a ton of stuff? Talk to me all about it. Talk to the people.
Definitely slowing down with clinics, but on the flip side of it, the rules forum just absolutely exploded on all
Everyone's like,
measures.
we started. Can we do this? It's my
Yes.
fault too, because at my clinics, I'm like, send everything into Katey. Send everything into Katey. So sorry, not sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. So a lot of rules forms questions, not just with Waikata, but youth independent as well, and travel cheer and school cheer. So it just is flooding in right now. I know that many leagues are now allowed to start practicing and such. So the choreography questions are coming in.
Yeah.
And it's in bulk. It's heavy. It's super, super heavy, but all in all, very good. And by the time this is released, uh, over on the Jam side, we have partnered with NIAA, and so we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
We will be
Yep.
doing competition. So NIAA is the school's state that governing board. So like for California, it's CIF. What is it over for you, Lisa?
For us, it's the NJCDCA.
There you
So
go.
NIAA is for Nevada.
Nevada.
And yeah, we are, because I mean, really, we don't have enough to do.
Right.
And so when David Sims says, hey, can you jump on a call about something? And we're like, sure. And the next thing you know, we're helping organize and run the NIAA high school state championship. Sure.
For
Why not?
cheer and
Absolutely.
dance. So now we're going to be overseeing competition, show cheer, and dance, and game day,
Mhm.
sideline performance, basically, for the whole state of Nevada. And we've had to do some work with that, but we are thrilled because I love NIAA. I think they're fabulous to work with. We have our nationals in Nevada, and they've been super, super easy to work with. Always really nice people too. So this was very happy to
Yeah.
jump on board with this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
been kind of what I've been doing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I have, of course, coach support for Waikata, courses still happening, reports to be done. So each week I send reports out to the different regional directors for all the big leagues to kind of let them know who's completed the courses. And then it's still a lot of support. I didn't get my email. I'm not sure which course to take. I don't know which email I use, like that type of stuff. So it's still a lot of that. And then it's kind of, we're already in August. So it's like September and fall league stuff is right around the corner.
Yeah.
So we do JAM's judge training. I'm also the judge coordinator for JAM. So I staff all of the judges for JAMs for all their championships and nationals. And I am partly responsible for creating the curriculum for the judge training. Also, and I didn't ever really know that this was going to be part of it, I'm actually also a travel agent because I book.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
book all of the flights for the 50 plus judges that we have all over the country for jams. So it is like, I have you on this flight. Does this flight work for you? It's Southwest flight 2798 leaving Sacramento at this time, arriving. So yeah, so add that to my checklist. So I've been working on that, and flights are crazy. So trying to get that done as early as possible. And then just getting all of that ready to go. We've had meetings on what the agenda and what that's going to look like, and incorporating a little bit more of simulation into the training so that judges can kind of, be watching and learning how to comment and critique and score and all that kind of stuff, and all of the different markets. So that's just another one of the big things. And then, I still have clinics. So I was at a clinic in upstate New York this past weekend, and I'm heading up to Rhode Island and Connecticut the weekend coming up. And then that's it. That is it for me for summer clinics. I know. My mermaid tail is like shriveling off to the side. Like I have not had enough Atlantic Ocean in my life. So my plan is to take those last few weeks in August and, kind of head down there and be down there
Good.
as much as possible, and,
You.
work a little, beach a little, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Yeah. So a couple of housekeeping things. Do want to always, as always, oh yeah, here's the cute note cards. Do want to always shout out Tiffany and JoJo, keeping it real, locking it down. Did you get your note cards?
I did.
Let me see. Look how cute you are. We're so cute now. Look at us.
Professional.
So
We're
we are
so
professional.
professional.
So professional. Still no hair and makeup budget, but that's okay. It's all right. We shoulder on. And Katey approved the roughly. It's not. I'm not looking like no neck Nancy over here. So we're good. But I do want to shout out Tiffany and JoJo. We have kind of move some things around. So if you were all expecting the rules episode this week, we kind of said we're going to change things around a little bit because we feel like this content and this episode is probably more important for where you are in the season, rather than kind of doing it in the order that we had. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. So JoJo and Tiffany, big shout out. Keep up the fantastic work. Taking that one off. We're going to do our questions of the week. We've got two good ones, and we want to get those out of the way. So first one is coming from Coach Erica Whittier, Redskins. Katey and I are knowers and big fans of Coach Erica.
Yep.
And her question is, how do we mentor and develop passionate new coaches and also establish better communication with the youth leagues to really work on what's best for all the kids? So I know we kind of did, or the last episode was like Into the Unknown, and we talked a lot about that. And I'm not sure if we touched enough upon the elders, the veterans, right? And I joke about this a lot, the control freaks of America club that we all seem to belong to. I think what happens is, as coordinators, everybody latches on to the things that they do, and they are wonderful things. And if you are at it for a really long time, you kind of get in that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Or sometimes you're unable to kind of look outside and say, okay, what are some new things that we can introduce? And you have all of these new coaches that probably have some really good ideas. But whether it's time constraints, whether it's the control freak in you just kind of doesn't want to hear it, and they get pushed to the side. So I would encourage you as veterans to really take some time to listen to these new coaches to give them tasks that they feel like they are really contributing, right? Like I think I've mentioned this before. If you have some of those junior coaches, those young coaches, and they are all about the social media, right? Get them involved in the TikTok, in the social media posts, get them involved with having the kids do some cool, fun trend and posting it, right? They may be coming off of their high school camp, or they may just be a former high school cheerleader. Get them involved in creating things for the team so they feel a part of it. If they're just constantly over there, if they kind of just constantly feel like they're the hall monitor and they don't really have a role, they're not going to give you their best. They're going to continue to kind of sit in the background and say, you know what? I'm not doing anything here. I'm not contributing. No one's listening to my opinion. So I'm not going to stick it out, right? That's probably for me where I would say is one of the biggest components of trying to retain and allow them to have their successes. Too many times we want the accolade. We want the applause. We want to take the bow. It is okay to allow them to have success with one of the teams, with some element of the routine that scores well. It's okay to shout them out. You know, it makes you feel good when you get those accolades. So imagine this new and up and coming coach that's trying to develop and make their own path, getting that nod, getting those kudos, what it means to them. I would say that's probably, you know, some of the things that I would recommend. And we have this great community in youth. And yes, I'm going to always plug Waikata, but the Facebook page and those type of things. We have the conference where we have all different types of organizations that come together. It's important to try and network within them. And again, to create this well-balanced approach for all of the youth athletes across the country. So those are kind of my ideas. You have anything you want to sprinkle your Katey-ness all over, that your beautiful, positive Katey-ness on?
I always say to look outside, like if you're looking for coaches and you're looking at potentially like a junior coach or something of that matter. Sometimes we get tunnel vision and we only look at those that have massive amount of awards, or massive, like the ones that are front center for your dance or your jumps, or something of that matter. But a lot of times the best coaches are actually going to be the ones that are nurturing and they are supportive and they are cheering the rest of their team on. So that doesn't mean it has to be the best athlete on the team. A coach is something much more different. Yes, they know technique. Yes, they know all that. But to be a coach is to be one that's raising someone up, that building the confidence. So those girls that are on those teams, those,
I was just going to sing Josh Groban and you raised me up, and then I was like, nobody wants to hear it. So yeah, that one.
Don't always get tunnel vision and think, okay, well, she is the best one or he is the best one on my team, so he needs to be our coach. I want him on my coaching staff. Look for the ones who gravitate sometimes to younger kids who are very nurturing, and they're cheering them on and helping them. Very helpful people, because they will be your coach. That's what a coach does. Yeah. And if they're all learning the same technique, then it doesn't have to be always the best person. So don't weigh out the people that might be in the middle row or the back row. Look for someone who has coaching ability, and those kids will stay a long time junior coach to being a coach, because it's in their nature. It's in their nature to be there and do those things for those kids. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. That is, it's so funny because you're honestly and truly, you always have this way of this putting a perspective on it. And we joke around like the NorCal kind of hella, you know what I mean? But it really, I know, but it really rings true, right? Like, obviously I don't come off as soft, right? And that's okay. Although I do have a softness to me and a care and all that kind of stuff. But when you kind of put it just kind of always completes the loop and kind of ties everything up in a really, really nice bow. So that was excellent. All right. I'm gonna toss this one to you first.
Okay.
This is from Now and Forever, star of the show. Remember the name. We Are Monroe. Monroe Wolverines cheer. I've known they have the same cheer in their routine for a long time, so we just kind of learn it. So they want to know, how do you recommend, or what advice would you give on determining stunt groups? How to select who the base is, the flyer, the spotter, the back spotter, the front spotter, what? And I know you've probably done a class on this at the conference or incorporated this, so I thought this might be a good one for you to start with.
Okay, well, wrapping it up in a nice way with a bow might not be this question.
Okay. All right. I take it back. I mean, not, it doesn't have to be all the time,
I
right?
am
I mean,
pretty stickler when it comes to picking position. So first of all,
okay.
as we all know, your back spot must be a leader, must be loud, must be a representation of that stunt group. You cannot put someone back there who is quiet and whispers 5, 6, 7, 8. You can't
I
do
could
that.
totally be a back spot.
Right, right. You can It does not work. If there is not that natural leader in them, that back spot position is not going to work for them. It's not. Look right away for strong leaders who once almost those coaches, almost those little junior coaches, right? That are going to
Yeah.
build this
Yeah.
stunt group up, build their confidence, take the role really responsible. So that's number one for back spots. Flyers. I do not let a flyer in the air if she cannot hold herself up. No, we got to find a different position for you.
What
Sorry.
if she's cute and little? What
No,
if
it
she's
doesn't
cute
matter.
and little?
I do not
Okay.
care at all if she's the tiniest person on the team. If you can't, number one, can't hold yourself up, you need to go home and work on some strength and conditioning. That's fine. But she's not going in there. She can't hold herself up. Number two, and I know in the youth industry that, and we can talk about this more with scoring, that a body position in Waikata is a lib. However, if your athlete as a flyer can only do a lib and does not have any flexibility on both sides, front or back, there is a deadline of limitation that that stunt group gets. And that is not fair to that stunt group. So we have to have some type of natural flexibility that we then can build off of. If they don't have any flexibility and it's literally like their spine is fused, you're going to get stuck. And that stunt group probably is going to want to do more creative things and move forward.
Sure.
But they're
Yeah.
not going to be able to if that flyer has no flexibility. So number one, I want to see some type of natural flexibility. And number two, she has to be able to hold themselves up. If not, sorry, you're tiny, but there's bigger responsibilities as a flyer. That's just how it is.
Yes. Love it.
Bases, I feel like I personally can train anybody to base with the right technique. So if you lead with technique and you make sure, I think a big thing is having someone be almost nearly the same height, especially in youth, especially as they're younger, I should say. Yeah, I've based with someone who was almost 12 inches taller than me, and it's absolutely possible. But how quick transitions move and the grips can change and where cheerleading is now, finding similar heights is always really good today. Back in the day, 15 years ago, when we would just hit an extension and hold it for a whole 8 count, sure. But due to transitions and stuff, you do need to look for similar heights.
Yeah, it's so important. Yep.
Yeah. So those are my big things. I say I can train a flyer to be a base. That's no big deal because if the flyer can hold herself up, that little one should be able to base. Yeah.
And the technique is hugely important, right? And so working on those drills and all the drills that we kind of talk about in the summer and whatnot, I think those are important too as you're developing the groups. And again, we're talking, I know that not everyone has the benefit of time, right? Where you have all this time to develop because we talk about how quickly the season comes and we're rocking and rolling. But I do think you owe it to everybody to allow for that time to try and mix and match and work with some groups and start with proper technique. Because like you said, a lot of that stuff can be taught. And if a flyer can hold themselves up, it doesn't necessarily mean big base is small girl or this or that. Got to be the same height. Yes. Does that help? And sometimes at the younger levels or maybe the less experienced, that just lends for an easier building of a skill or building of a group when they don't have to learn about making all the adjustments and legs open and knees bent a little bit and all that kind of stuff. But if for youth, a lot of times you have what you have, you're not evaluating where you can pull this one from over here and this is the team and we've got to make it work with what we've got. Yep. So it's going to be a lot of trial and error. But all of those positions do have a role and responsibility. And yes, for the flyer, and again, working at this clinic this weekend, flyer was adorable, relatively flexible, but had no body control. Just thought, I'm cute, I'm little, put me up in the air. And it was like, no. We've got to work on some of these things. So even like the hang drill, and the first time you do a hang drill with somebody that doesn't understand what the hang drill is and the base is let go and they immediately fall down to the ground, they're like, oh my gosh, And I'm like, yeah, you're adorable, but you have to be able to hold your
Have
weight
to.
in your arms and your shoulders and tuck your feet under, so that you can, then move up to the next progression, of stunt height and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. Yep.
phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal tips. All right. She's been waiting in the wings long enough. She is nervous, but she is ready. She looks fabulous. And I'm going to hold off one more second. I think it was probably almost identically at the same day, same time where I texted you and I was like, have you seen this person's account? We need to have her on the podcast. And you literally seconds later were like, I was just about to
Yeah.
text you.
Yeah.
And we had to wait because we hadn't announced yet, right? But we were like, oh my God, this is great. Da, da, da. And then as soon as we announced the podcast, I think I had messaged her like 15 seconds after and was like, hey, would love to have you as a guest. So our special guest today, and someone that we preempted some episodes for so we could have her on early enough, please welcome the cheer coordinator for Umatilla Pop Warner. Did I say that right? Gaby
Yeah.
Ford. Say hi, Gaby Ford. Say hello to the podcast world out there. There she
Hello.
is. Say hi.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. Little nervous, but very
Yeah,
excited.
it's okay. It's okay. Look, I mean, we have no clue what we're doing. No, right? We just talk and we say fun things and we say some good things and then we say a lot of silly things and we sing a lot of songs. But like I said,
I love it.
in 5 minutes, it's just going to be the three of us gals just chatting away. I'm going to continue showing our cute little note cards every chance I get. And yeah, it's going to be great. And I think that based on what we have seen from your TikToks, I think you are the perfect guest, especially at this time of the year, to kind of talk about all of the things. So before we get started on that, would you please, for us and for the audience, just give us a little background into Gaby Ford and how you got into cheerleading in general, and then leading up to how you got this cheer coordinator role for Umatilla?
Absolutely. So, my name is Gaby Ford. I am 31 years old.
All right, you
Uh,
didn't have to get that personal. We don't need height and weight. Don't
okay.
just
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
All right. Perfect. So, I was a competitive dancer for many, many years, traveling the country, doing competitions in New York and all over the place. And that was a huge passion. And that's where I learned what hard work really is. I had a dance teacher who owned the studio who was tough. And it was only the strongest survive
Sure.
mentality.
Mm-hmm.
But I give a lot of credit to what that has taught me at a young age. And so from there, I moved on into cheerleading and I joined a middle school team, and it opened up my eyes to this world. And
Crazy.
the competition, that competitiveness in me, I just like, it's a fire, and it's something, that I've always loved. From there, I went to Winter Park High School and I was on the JV team there. And that cheerleading team is run by a coach who is like, you want to talk about accolades, she's got them, and they were state champions and all the things. So like looking up to what felt like legends at the time.
Yeah.
And so I did that as well. And then within all of that, I was also doing all-star teams. So kind of all over the place. With
Yeah. You're busy, girl.
Generally, it's all, that competitive competitions, whether it was dance or cheer. Then as far as becoming cheer coordinator, my son just joined Pop Warner. My husband was a coach, and it was one of those things where I kind of had to like do this. I didn't want to look at the cheer side because my daughter's into horse. That's her main thing. And I just wanted to like keep my blinders on, but I knew a few people on that side of things, and they kind of hunted me down and was like, "Oh, it's just some paperwork, like no big deal." That's what they told me. That's what they
You
told
got
me.
suckered.
Paperwork.
You got suckered
They
in.
lied to you.
That's how it happens. That's how it happens. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we joke on our board that it's a blood oath. So like once you're in, you're in,
You're
and
done
there's no
now,
getting
right?
out.
I will spit out my
So
water.
I feel that. And then it's all downhill from there.
Right.
This is so great. This is so great. I am cracking up. Okay, so likely, excuse me, I am choking. I'm laughing so hard.
She's going to need a minute.
Yeah. So, like Lisa said, um, the social media.
Mhm.
I am fairly new to social media. And so when my algorithm started picking up, it started showing you all the time. And I was blown away by your organization, your tips, fundraising, your uniform organization. You have like a coach's box. I want you to talk about all this stuff during this today, but I want to make sure everybody has your TikTok. It's Gabrielle.Ford2, right? That's it. Okay. So everybody, you need to go follow
Go
her.
follow her if you aren't already.
I swear I spent
It's
probably a good
amazing.
20 minutes going before I even contacted you, before Lisa contacted you, going through it and like learning so much. And I'm not a cheer coordinator or a coach at this time in my life. And I felt like I could go sign up to be a cheer coordinator immediately. Like I was ready to go. This girl's got my back. And
What
what's
would you take the blood
amazing,
oath?
I did not take the blood oath. What's
Okay.
amazing to me is that you keep coming consistently with more and more tips. It is amazing. It's amazing. So really quickly before we get into like the meat and
All of
potatoes
that.
of our questions, talk about your TikTok. Talk about your TikTok. If you could give us a brief description of your TikTok and what you do, go for it.
So I started by wanting to make some videos for our coaches band app page. So I only can text so much and put in posts so much. And so I wanted to start making some videos to post there. I have an album within my coach page of just coaches training. And I had a coach, she does TikTok as well. Her name is Lindsay. She said, "Hey, you need to post this." And I absolutely died. I am the most extroverted introvert, if you will.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
so I'm like, "I can't do that." But she's like, "Just do it." And I'm like, "You know what? Sure." And to be quite honest, I have so many things that I want to share, but my Wi-Fi will only allow me to do so much. I live in the sticks and I'm here. I had to go somewhere else to record this. And so that's what holds me back. But I'm just recording in the day to day of what I'm doing in the moment and then just posting and not thinking twice because there's so much to do. So
That's the biggest thing, right? Is getting over. And I just had this conversation. It's so funny. So, not to get into and too off the subject, my cousin just started a TikTok and it's like Seinfeld-esque, right? Dad's doing nothing. And he calls me and he's like, how do you get over being in front of the camera? I'm like, I'm like, you just got to do it. You
and
just
don't
don't
rewatch your video.
analyze, don't look,
No.
don't look at yourself. Like, just do it. There's so much out there. And I think once you do that, and if you have something that, and believe me, you have so many things that youth coaches and coordinators want to hear. I think that it really, really just starts to just happen. And then it's like you flow. And look, some people get into it because they want the PR, they want the likes, they want the this. And when you're kind of just doing it just because you want to get it out there, I think that eventually comes. But it's wild the amount of content that you've already done and given to everybody. And like, I know we're a little bit late, so everyone's season kind of started. That's again why I wanted to kind of do this a little bit earlier. But I think that there's just so much out there that is useful for all of these coordinators and coaches. So I think it's really great.
I just to that point because it had the season has began that there's no better time to plan than in the moment, and not that you're going to implement it right then and there, but just taking notes. This is what I want to do next year. This is what you're when you're in it. That's the best time to plan for
Yeah.
next year.
Yep. I agree.
So
Yeah.
how long have you been doing TikTok? Is it still relatively new?
Maybe a month and a half. Yeah, I've
Wait,
never
so
done this
we
before.
like found you right when you started doing it?
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
We
You have
knew her
so much
when
content.
we knew her when. Maybe she'll have us on her podcast sometime
Oh my
when she becomes super famous.
I'm
Yes.
blown away. You seem so natural and professional when you're doing it. You're captivating and you're so organized. It's unbelievable. I'm shocked. Wow. Yeah, everybody needs to go follow her. She has the best information for you guys. All right, do we want to start our questions, Lisa?
Yeah,
you
let's
wanna
start. Yeah, and then we're gonna get some. She's gonna probably take some of those, but let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do the questions. Sure, go
Okay.
ahead. You go.
All right,
You go.
me first? Okay.
Yeah.
What does your role entail? Your full role within your league, within your organization.
So as cheer coordinator, really My role is before the season begins, majority. It's from, our season, depending on when competition ends. It's the moment competition ends to the moment the season begins, the next round. That's the bulk of what I do. It's the planning of our dates. That's first and foremost, the dates for the entire season, uniforms and everything that entails, getting coaches as much information as possible in an organized way so they can have a successful season, because once the season begins, I'm just assisting, I'm helping where needed, kind of a plug and play situation. But majority of what I do is before the season starts. But
Incredible. Incredible. And are there things part of this role, like unexpected, like things you wish someone told you before, or you feel like it was kind of better? I mean, besides don't do it. Besides run
And
in the opposite direction, don't make eye contact with the person you thought was your friend who is now blood oath you to this role.
yeah.
But are there things that either you wish someone would have told you, or something that's truly unexpected that you've kind of had to, pivot or create something that you weren't intending?
So specifically Pop Warner, in our little niche of the world, of the rec world, they are so particular about courses, requirements, to be a volunteer, to be an athlete within Pop Warner. They need so much paperwork, and down to the corner cannot have this or what that area.
Right.
And so that's our compliance, but coordinators have to help and kind of facilitate all of that. That I was not expecting. It has nothing to do with cheerleading whatsoever. But
Right.
that's partially why I made the TikTok, because there is no roadmap or instruction manual.
Yeah.
And it changes every year, which makes it even more difficult. But yeah, I never thought I would have to be, checking report cards and birth certificates,
Right. Yeah,
physicals.
it's the good and the bad, right? Because look, Pop Warner and a lot of these organizations, the scope and size, tens of thousands of coaches, tens of thousands of athletes, and it needs to be done a certain way. And obviously, for the young athletes, you want all of the coaches to have their certifications and background checks and all that kind of stuff. And then it's, you want the teams to be legitimate. So then it's all the birth certificates and all of that. But it's
It's a lot.
it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the many things, to kind of check off. Sorry, Kate, I think you were going to ask something and I cut you off.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, you're totally fine. I'm probably going to say this 9 million times because I truly am thoroughly impressed with how organized you are. But with being so organized in your organizational tips, what are still some of the biggest challenges that you are faced with as being a coordinator or even a TikTok now influencer? What are some of the biggest challenges?
So specifically in an related to being organized is having so many to-do lists, and I like to check things off, but oftentimes, especially in the Pop Warner world, you check something off and then it pops back up. It needs an adjustment
Mm.
still. It needs, this or that. And so it's back on your to-do list. So it feels like you're never really getting anything done or checking something off. And for
Yeah.
someone like me who's very type A, that part is hard because then you get a little overwhelmed, but just taking
Yeah.
it day by day, the next task at a time. In the beginning of the season, that's the compliance stuff. Just one at a time and trying to knock that out and then move on to the next.
Yeah. And I think it's probably, like you said, you're just, you are managing all of these. So when you talk about being the coordinator, it's not just for one team, right? How many teams fall under your purview in that coordinator's role?
So we have 5 teams and 72 cheerleaders.
72 cheerleaders,
Mhm.
right? So that's 72 cheerleaders with 72 parents, with 72 families, right? You have a summer situation where people want to take their vacation. I say this all the time because a lot of times I have this frustration of like, we send the information for the courses out at the end of May and now it's August and now it becomes an urgency, a situation. Now I've got to rush to do it. And I say to myself, okay, stop. A lot of times things are not important to people until they're important, right?
Mhm.
So for me, living in this Waikato world, all of this stuff is important, right? But if I'm the mom and I have my kids got out of school and then we were on vacation and then they did camps and then we went and saw the family and then the family came and this and that, this may not be, I don't have to hand this in, let's just say, until July 28th. So I kind of start putting it on my radar like July 26th. And then you're like, oh my gosh, now I don't have the information that I need. And for you, and especially the type A quality of which you know, kind of already have admitted to having, it's like you've started thinking about this, you know, April 22nd, you
Yes.
know, and it's like now it's still ongoing and ongoing. And so I do think that, though, would you say that your ability to get organized, has it helped with the family's ability to get organized and bring things in a more timely fashion? Would you say that that's a fair assessment, or not?
I
Not
would.
really.
I would. You're always going to have those families that like to lag a little. But I will say, if you're on that train and your train's moving, they're either going to jump on or they're going to get left behind. And it's kind of when you become such a, you know, a bigger organization, you kind of have to have that
Yeah,
mentality. When it comes to
sure.
everything, it just, you have to be kind of black and white about it, and hold whatever you say you're going to do, whether it's a deadline, or whatever it may be. If you say you're going to do it, you have to follow through. And then eventually, over the course of the years, the families they'll learn.
Right.
They'll-
The follow through, I think, is the tough thing, right?
Mhm.
And I think also too, it's kind of like in where we're in right now. You know, everyone's a really reluctant to draw a line in the sand,
I
right?
am
That
not.
happens a lot. What's that?
I said yes, but I am not. Yeah, that's probably the
You're
biggest.
not.
I've got very
Excellent.
clear lines in my sand.
Good
Yes.
job.
Yes, perfect. And do you get supported in those? I mean, I know your regional coordinator. I know, and for that we didn't talk about it, but you being in Florida, but
Mhm.
you know, your regional coordinator is also one that is very much like this is the way it is, and we don't veer from that. So I think it kind of goes top to bottom and bottom to top. So that is good to have that support. Yeah.
Yeah, the only people who don't
Oh,
support it are someone who has not been in the position where they're held to, you know, they have so much to do. But
yep.
everyone above my board, and then everyone above us beyond that, they're completely on board. I've had some issues where I've had to double check, you know, I feel like I'm in the right here, but what do you think? And it's
Yep.
always been the case.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But
Okay.
sometimes you have to
Awesome.
be the bad guy. You kind of
Awesome.
have to be okay with wearing your hat.
Yeah. I hear
Yeah.
you.
You got to lay down the law. You got to lay down the law. Yeah.
Hmm.
How are you able to manage it all between your role as coordinator, your TikTok right now, your family, your general life? How are you organized with family as well? Is this like an overall thing with your life, or just how do you manage it? How are you managing it?
I will say in general, this is how I handle my entire life, from every aspect. You know, I have 4 kids, and we homeschool, so there is no back to school like breath of fresh air because they've gone to school before, and so it's the general, like, taking it one task at a time and having like a general, like, big to do list, and then figuring out, okay, what needs to happen next is how I pretty much handle my entire life. And that even comes to like what needs to be next. Does that need to be some one-on-one time with my kids because I've been busy? Does that mean it needs
Mhm.
to be a date night, or does that mean I need to like buckle down and get some work done on the cheer side? Just taking it one step at a time is the best way, and but having a big overall plan and awareness, helps.
That's great. Yeah. All right, I want to you've been so amazing about sharing all of these things. So I want to kind of talk about that because I feel like anybody that's listening is like, okay, where is the help? Where
Where's
are
the
the
tip?
tips? Like
Yeah.
where is the thing? So let's if we can go back to you know, maybe even your first few TikToks and kind of go through with us where it starts and how that all progresses. So we're going to kind of give you a lot of just Gaby
Yeah.
talking time here. We may come in and answer with questions, but can you kind of take us through what that all looks like leading up to when does everybody get on the field? The 15th, when you can get on the field, right, of
Yeah.
July. So where you started in April, May, whatever that is, all the way up to then, and kind of talk about how you put this all together and you know, some organizational tips for everybody to hopefully get, you know, some tips from.
Right. So ideally, I would have started months and months ago in that organizational process of like, what am I doing to prepare? But this was never on my radar. And so with that, I started recording kind of at the beginning of our season, I believe. And I'm recording in real time. So what am I doing at this very moment? Again, the same mentality.
Yeah.
What's my to-do list? What do I need to do first in that order? And that's how I'm posting. So that way people are able to really relate and take notes. And again, a lot of times it won't be relevant at that very moment, but for next year, and then being able to take notes and putting your own spin on it. But with TikTok, it's funny because I think you said this in your last podcast that, when we're on the competition mat, like we're competition. But especially in the Pop Warner world or the youth sports world, like if we're not on that mat, we're in this together. And it's, I want to be able to help each other
Yeah, I
because
love that.
there's not a whole lot of the Pop Warner world of like what even to do. We're not an all-star team. We don't get paid for this. And so if I've done that groundwork to set up what a coach's binder should look like or a parent package should look like, I want to share that because it took me so many hours and this is going into my 3rd year as cheer coordinator. And so why not just share that so that way people don't have to start from scratch? Because it seems to be a pattern is that every league that's starting, they're kind of having to pave their own way. And cheer's been around long enough. Has it, developed over time? Yes. But overall, it's the same thing over and over again. When I like to create things that you can then duplicate. It's like, why are we starting from scratch? Let's set that foundation work. And so you'll see with my videos that I'm trying to pick and choose what's most important.
Sure.
And oftentimes that comes with, what can I implement this year? In the first year, it was a parent packet first and foremost. Because communication with parents is the number one area that needs the most.
Ding, ding.
And that it's really not that complicated in the grand scheme of things. Like just tell them what's going to happen because you already know.
Well, we talked about this. The more you keep them informed, the easier it is to get them. I don't want to say comply like they're doing it under duress, but you're a parent of 4 children. You have other parents who have multiple children. If they don't know what's going on, they're not gonna work your schedule into their schedule. I think
and you can't blame them for not following
of course.
through.
Amen.
And it usually comes with rules, which we have, certain rules that like if you don't do this, these are the consequences. I hate to say that with grown adults, but like these are the consequences. If you didn't properly communicate that to them, that's on you. That's not on your parents. And that's tough too.
Yes. I also find like I try to always be mindful, like I just said before, when I get a little grouchy about how we're into August and people still haven't taken their course and all that kind of stuff. I also think too, and I think I work with a lot of coordinators or I get a lot of feedback from coaches and, we're customer and coach support. And so, and I am, tend to be jokey and friendly and all that kind of stuff. And some tend to be like a little bit more gruff and unwilling to kind of, help or share or direct them. And it's like everybody up and down has to remember that everybody is a volunteer, right? I can't, when I get like frustrated, like, how did this coach take the wrong course? We sent them the email, we've done this, we've done that. And I'm like, because they're doing 75 other things, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that when you have the communication and also a little bit of patience and grace really goes a long way. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And taking as a coordinator specifically, I take a lot of that responsibility on my shoulders. When I first came around, I was thrown, hey, here's the course, here's the website, here's this, here's that. And I'm kind of like, whoa, first off, I have the memory of a toddler. Like, I don't even remember what I did yesterday. Unless it's written down, it ain't happening. And so like something as basic as creating a checklist for the courses, which is what I did with the website, with screenshots, not dumbing it down because these people are dumb in no means, but making it so simple to follow. And then it's on me as the coordinator to follow up, to stay on top of. And I've never had a volunteer get upset with me for, kind of Like, hey, did you do this? Hey, did you
No,
do
I
this?
think for a lot
That's
of people, they do. They're like, just get me A to B to C, right? And we have this thing about, do I fish for them or do I teach them how to fish? And sometimes it's like, here's what you need to do. And sometimes it's like, here's what you need to do. And for next time, here's where to find the next thing. So I think that if you're like laying it all out for them, and that happens a lot, right? I don't know what league or conference am I in? What region am I in? Sometimes people don't, I'm in the Pop Warner region. I'm in the Taifa region. I'm like, that's not correct, but let's figure out where you are. So all of that just laid out for them. Again, it also makes them more willing to complete the task at hand, for sure.
Mhm.
It's such a big to do getting started as a volunteer, and it's money out of their own pocket, which oftentimes you're not even told how much are these courses I'm having to pay for
Sure.
to volunteer. And having it clean and clear and concise can make the world of a difference. And doing everything you possibly can to help them. I'll tell them the courses and the in-person classes, and then I put them in a group chat with all of the coaches who are going to that in-person class, whether it's on their staff or not. And then I'm following up in that group chat, hey, remember this, this, and this. It's at this time. Don't be late. Don't forget your license, things like that, and connecting them to other people. Because that's another thing, especially in a volunteer organization, they don't know anyone else.
Right.
So
Right.
as a coordinator, you're coordinating all of those things, and you're taking that responsibility on yourself.
Yeah. And
The
it
things
is a lot.
the things I love that I'm hearing from you is that you have communication, but you keep calling it connecting. And I've actually never really
Mhm.
referenced that or heard that in the cheer world necessarily. And you have, instead of just, you have no fear of communication, which is fantastic, but you're connecting parents to you, your coaches to the parents, whatever it might be. You're doing it connecting. And I absolutely love that. I also can tell you have a lot of grace and ownership, which I hope that all coordinators
Yeah.
have, because and you've mentioned this a couple times too. You are a village. You're a village. You guys work together. This isn't just your thing. It's working together. It's connecting, as you keep saying. And it's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. Yes, I love it. Yeah. Love it.
Making a lead connect as well. Oftentimes I've seen these teams, and it comes with having a coaching staff that often time has been a while together for a while. And at
Yes.
Umatilla, we really haven't had that. So I've had that kind of blank slate, if you will, but you really set the tone. We might be different teams, but we're all doing the same thing. We're all one league. And so, creating that atmosphere, it starts at the top. Your attitude, your mindset, it is contagious. And if you don't set the tone, there's nothing to follow. So you have to set the tone at the very beginning of what's
Yeah.
tolerable and what's allowed and what the expectations are. The biggest life lesson I ever learned was, you're not disappointed by people, you're disappointed by the expectations you set for that person.
Mm.
And so if you set these standards and expectations for these people, and you get let down, that's on you. So what are you going to do about that to change it and to if I formally communicated, I gave you everything you possibly needed, I feel like I can confidently set that expectation of you. And if I didn't give you everything you needed, that's on me. And so, kind of taking a look
That's a
at that.
great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. You're like, here's A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Mhm.
Right. And so where's my H? Like, I gave you 9. I just need 1. Right.
Yeah.
And so then it does make it a little easier to say, listen, I could understand if I did not prepare you well, or I did not provide you with the information, but I have given you everything and I need you to give me this thing. And I know I'm a broken record with this, but I keep going back to, and everyone is a volunteer, you included. Hearing you on setting those expectations and doing it the way you're doing it is, I really am just trying to drive that point home for everybody out there who's going to see this or listen to this, is I think all the way around, I think everybody needs to take a collective deep breath. And I think everybody needs to understand, and I'm going to, really try to avoid, singing in High School Musical terms, but we are all in this together. And
Yeah.
yes, we get to competition day. You are over there and I am over here. And my intention is to whoop you. Right. But before that, we can help each other get to that point.
Yes.
And that is something that's really missing. And maybe it's, optimistic of us to think that, but we are seeing it in real time. We are seeing it in someone like you. We are seeing it in
Mhm.
other places and other, guests we are having on or have had on. And so it is possible to be done. Is there something like a lot of times it's just personality. It's innate and it's in you. But is there something you draw from or any experience where it kind of said, "Hey, I was treated this way, or I saw this and I really liked it, and this is how I want to be." Or sometimes it's like, "I was treated like this and I didn't like it, so I'm gonna be." Is there anything that you can draw from where it's like, "This is just who I am"?
I believe that there's a "this is who I am" to it,
Mhm.
100%. My mother was this way. So there is a point to that. But growing up, I saw both ends of the spectrum. And specifically talking about cheer, I've been on quite a few different teams, and I have seen leagues have it together. I've seen leagues that just are like, "Nah," and it again, at the end of the day, it's about the athletes, and you're giving your athletes an experience. And I take that's a lot of pressure, as it should be, because you can't go back and redo, their childhood or their experiences. And I kind of feel like I'm a mesh of everything I've experienced.
Mhm.
With those really great teams came also being really harsh.
Yeah,
And that's tough. That's tough to take as a child.
sure.
Or you think, oh, they don't have it as much together. That comes with a lot of leniency. And so I feel like there can be a happy medium. We
Mhm.
can
Mhm.
be, kind of black and white and tough where we need to be, and then lenient where we can be, and creating the overall experience. I mean, of course, I want to win. I'm always very competitive, but especially in the parent world, if you have an organized um, communication and a league, they're much more willing to come back. You could be the best of the best, but if you're all over the place, if
For
you are
sure.
too harsh,
Yeah.
they won't come back. So you kind of have to have the best of both.
Right. And we haven't even gotten into the competitive part yet. This is we didn't even get to competition yet. This is all the things leading up. I love that you keyed in on, the pressure is there because you are involved, and we talk about this a lot, in making memories for these children,
Mhm,
right? And as you know, as a parent, it goes like this. I've talked
mhm.
about it. I have grown adult children, 30 and 27 years old. I don't know how that happened, but I also remember being so steeped in what they were doing as young, I had a son, so running the snack bar at the football games and Friday night lights, and I organized the pepper and all of those things because I was like, I just want to be in it. Because here I am now at this part, and it's like, where the heck did it go? And so before we even talk about the wins and losses, you do have some skin in this game of making really great memories for these athletes, and also giving the parents ample opportunity to be involved. How much do you get parents involved in the day to day? Like, they may not be on the coaching staff, but do you find that you have good involvement with the parents overall on
Yes.
fundraising, on whatever fun things you're trying to do with the team?
So parents are tricky, and this is to no offense of any parents whatsoever, but I don't like to include parents in the sense of anything in the organizational sense or the planning sense, especially. Like, if I did ever have any questions about maybe a potential event coming up or like that, I'm not going to my parents and asking for opinions. I barely go to anyone for opinions because there's enough opinions up here. But
Oh, she is a total control freak. I
I
love it. She
loved
might be
it.
the president of the Southeast chapter. Yep.
This is
stuff.
so great.
Oh my god. And so I don't, and really, if there are any parents who are opinionated in the sense where they have a say on things, my response is, here is a volunteer form, fill it out, and you can join next year. That's
Yeah.
because there's a lot of chiefs and not enough Indians, and I love feedback and help, but only if it's actually beneficial. Oftentimes, if it's coming from parents, it's more of adding to my to-do list, and my to-do list is full.
Right. Right. Do you
Wow.
get pushback? Like, or is everyone pretty much accepted, like, okay, that she's got it? I mean, I think you are a person where they can feel comfortable and like, she's got this, so I can take that step back. But there are parents that do like to kind of, interject in, even when it may not be welcome.
And I think parents, they have a radar and they have like a sniffer where they can detect if something isn't actually handled or it's needing more organization or needing ideas and whatnot. And if you come to parents with the full package, this is what we're doing for the season, this is how it's going to go or whatever, there's really not a lot of room for suggestions and they don't feel like they need to. If they start to speak up, it's usually because they see a crack somewhere. And so, like I said, I began
They
at the
also
very
smell fear. Do they smell fear? They also smell fear. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they
absolutely.
will.
And my poor little, I have a few of them were like, you've got to like fake it till you make it, sister.
Right.
Because they see it. And so when you plan the year so far in advance, like I'm already planning next season's, there's not a whole, like everything's done.
Yeah. Got it.
All right. I want to make a disclosure really quick to everybody. So she mentioned that she's with Pop Warner, but I want you to know that her tips and her tricks are for all of the youth coaches,
Oh, yeah.
coordinators in the United States and outward.
Mhm.
Like it's not just, yes, she is Pop Warner. She might reference it a few times, but her tips and tricks go far beyond that. And like she said, they're very, very helpful. So if you're listening and you're not Pop Warner, you should still check her out. It'll be very useful. Okay, going into kind of social media, I want you to think of two different tips. My question to you specifically is that what tips have, or what one tip has changed your role, your life? And then on the flip side of that, what one tip has been unbelievably beneficial for your coaches? So for you and then for your coaches.
So for me as cheer coordinator, having, a plan and, communicating that and communication and having everything organized. I say that over and over again. But that's the key. And then communicating it beforehand versus throwing things at your coaches last minute. And my number one for coaches particularly is, and this is if you're a coach, because I've had some coaches reach out to me and maybe your organization isn't as organized, if you will, kind of figuring out what your role is, assisting the leaders where they need to go and maybe suggesting, I don't know, I've had people be like, we've sent our coordinator your videos or whatever, but your focus is your team. And so just as much as the league and the season has to be organized, your team does. And, having a plan in place and being flexible enough to change that plan. But the plan needs to be there to begin with. And if you go in winging it, just like parents can sniff it out, so can athletes. And if they, and I hate to say it's like a weakness, but if they see a weakness, they will exploit it. And I love our kids, but you kind of have to go in, knowing what your plan is. I think you guys talked about this on a previous episode, but like with practice plans and whatnot and organization to that extent, kids have to know, oh, it's something as simple as like a bathroom break. If you just tell them, no, you can't have a bathroom break. If they know halfway through practice at 7 o'clock, they're getting that bathroom break, they will finally trust you when you say in a little bit that they'll get it later on. And when they learn your practice plan, you can actually get somewhere. But if you're starting from scratch every time, you're not going to get very far. So planning and more planning.
I love it.
Got it.
I love it.
Got it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. All right, we're gonna do the wrap up, but any last anything where you're like, oh, I wish they would have asked me this because I really want to talk about this. And obviously, we want to promote your TikTok as we talked about, for everybody to go Gabrielle.Ford2, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Because you can get so much there. But we also want to, make sure that these.
Oh, my light. Look at, there she is. See,
There
she
she
has
is.
so much, everybody. It goes on and on and on and on. All tips and tricks. All tips and tricks.
Fantastic. Any other, again, like I wish they would have asked me, or this is something I feel really strong about, or this is something that really helped me, any last bit of anything that you think might be helpful to coordinators and coaches out there who are in the trenches right now and, in the heat of battle, if you will.
Yeah. I created an Etsy shop It's called Building a Cheer League. And I am selling our, cheer coaches binders, our parent packets, I'm working on our team mom binder. I created an Excel for an 8 count sheet. That's something that there's so many 8 count sheets out there, but they're like not detailed enough for what I was looking for. And I'm going to continue building on that. It's something I had no intentions of doing. It just, as I started making these TikToks, people were like, please just give
I
me
will buy
video of what
this. I
you're
will.
doing
Yes.
because no one has the time and I don't want to have to start from
How do
scratch.
you have
So
the time? How
I
do
get up at
you?
5 a.m. I don't know. I do it then.
Right.
Before my kids wake up. But I did create that. So that way, if you don't want to start from scratch, and like you said, although I'm Pop Warner, I give you a editable version. So you can take out what you need and leave what you want and get rid of what you don't. So I think that's important because there's so much out there in the cheer world. Obviously you guys cover, scoring and all of those kinds of things, but the little niche that I feel like needs to be filled is the organization, like setting up
Yeah.
the basics.
Yes.
That way you can then turn your focus onto choreographing and creating really cool stunts and maximizing your score sheet. But without this stuff, that doesn't exist. You
Right.
can't build on a
Correct.
sugar sand. So you
Yeah.
have to have something foundational. And so that's what I'm hoping to
Yeah.
help with.
And that's the reason, again, originally we were talking about doing this. We were like, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. And then we were like, we need people on here. We work from this place, but we are not in that day to day. And
Right.
so I can come up with all of these great ideas. And we talk a lot about different stuff at clinics, but to actually hear from somebody who's actually doing it, I think is so super valuable.
Mhm.
I also think it makes all of those coaches and coordinators out there, right, are kind of like, oh, it can be done. And here is somebody that is doing it so amazingly well. You got to get up at 5 a.m. apparently, but
So sorry.
yeah, sorry. Katey is a 5 a.m.er, so we're on
Yeah.
the 3-hour time difference. And sometimes
Mhm.
she's like, I can be ready at 8 your time. And I'm like, you can? I can't even be ready at 8 my time. Like, that is one of the things
Damn,
of having the older children, right? I don't have to get up that early
yeah.
anymore, right?
It's
Um,
life-changing.
I
When
will
you
add,
just accept to wake up early, you can get so much more done. Yeah. And your
and I
body
and
will
will
Tina,
adjust. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. And I
yes,
will add in just one final thing, because this was out of all of the things, this was the things that was the hardest thing for me as a cheer coordinator and being as competitive as I am is not focusing on the winning. That's my coach's job. And
Mm.
taking that hat and kind of giving it to them, like if I could, I would spend all of my time working on their routines with them, choreographing with them, giving my suggestions and that kind of thing. And it's very difficult because I'm a sore loser sometimes. And I love to win, but
I am
you
too.
cannot have a league um win if it's not organized. So simultaneously, you have to work on your organization and communication with your parents, and you got to win in order to
Yeah.
grow
Yeah.
your league.
Yeah.
So balancing.
If I can go back to the beginning of the episode where we had the question in from Erica and she was talking about, building and developing coaches. I think that's also nail on the head, right? I think at some point the veteran has to get to a point to say, I've got to do these bigger things organizational wise, and I've got to push off or delegate off some of those things. And some of it's fun, the choreography and
Yeah,
that type of thing, right?
yeah,
But if you want the program to grow and develop, you at some point have to say, all right, this has got to get handed off. And I'm going to step into this more managerial role, if you will. Right. And
it's
maybe
hard.
you pop your head in. It is hard because
Mhm.
because the choreography, the part in the competition and the winning or success part is where you feel like that's really where the nitty gritty is.
Yep.
But I agree with you. If this back end part of the organization and having all the parents buy in and be
Mhm.
all in on, yes, I will have my child there for every practice. And yes, we will fundraise to get to A, B, C, or D competition. And yes, we will continue as a year-round program so we can go to globals or we can go to Jams Nationals or we can go to something else because that's all part of it, right? When you talk about the competitive, but somebody does have to step back, but step up
Yep.
to do the things that you're doing. And that is also part of developing and maintaining that program. So, and I know that's not easy, but the beauty is, like I said, you can jump in and out whenever you want. You can hit practice and go, okay, let's look at this
Yep.
and say, and impart your wisdom. I don't know if that 8 count exactly works. I don't know if that formation is exactly right. That music isn't matching, the energy of this section. And so,
With
and then,
having a fresh set of eyes, because that's the
yes,
thing, when
love that.
you're in it, and when I
Yeah.
come around and jump from practice to practice, you've been staring at this way for so long, you kind of become narrowed in, and I can come in as a fresh set of eyes and
5,000-foot view. I
things.
talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, I think too, when
Exactly.
you get there, when you're in it every day, you go either way. You're either only looking at the positives or only focused on the negatives, and you need to Goldilocks it and be somewhere in between
Right.
so that you can make those adjustments. And having somebody who is experienced, who you trust to come in and say, hey, this isn't working, or we need more of that, or this needs to shift, or I think is really, really, really important. So that's another great point. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, I think this has been another fabulous
Yeah.
episode with another fabulous person I am so happy to now have gotten the pleasure to meet and talk to, and hopefully given the opportunity for her to share all these amazing, incredible things that she is doing. So I want to say, thank you for being on the podcast. Again, the extroverted introvert. I know that it is tough to get out here, but you see, it just flowed and we just chatted
It was
and, all
fantastic.
these things, right?
Of
You were
course.
fantastic. I also want to say a thank you from the youth cheer and dance community for being this amazing person that you are.
Yep.
And not also for Umatilla, but also being willing to share it with
Yes.
everybody, through your social media, through your TikTok, through your Etsy, which again, probably wasn't something you expected, but it was like
No.
everyone's asking, okay, let's do it. Let's run it. Right.
Yep.
Thank you for getting up at 5 a.m. Thank you for, being live and in real time and going through all of it. I wish your Wi-Fi was better so that you could do it more right
I'm
when you're home and you would be limitless, but that's okay.
I'd be obnoxious.
And yeah, and we really look forward to seeing how it all develops. We're here for all of you, but we're here for you. So if there's anything that, we can do down the road now or whenever, we're happy to do it. And, thank you. Thank you so much for just being a part of this. We're really excited to have you here.
Thank
Katey,
you.
what do you want to say to Gaby?
Oh, Gabby, I think you're fantastic. I think you're amazing. We can only do so much in our job, and it's people like you that keep this industry going. So, like Lisa said, thank you. You are a force. You are what we need in this industry. So keep going, girl. Keep going. I want everybody to make sure they heard her TikTok is Gabrielle.Ford2, right? That's correct. And then she's got her
Yeah.
Etsy page, and it's building a cheer league. Building a cheer
Yeah.
league. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys got
Not
to go
how
check this
to
stuff.
building a cheer league.
Just building a true. She knows how. She knows how to do it. Yeah, she knows how. We've
Go check
established
out
that already.
both useful printouts, documents you can download, tips, tricks from organization. As you can tell, she's super organized, but anything and everything that you deal with as a coordinator or coach, she's throwing it out there to get you through the year successfully, and doing it in the youth industry. And that's much different than most of the other industries.
Yeah.
So let's rally together. Go check her stuff out. It's worth it. It's totally worth it. Yeah.
It was a pleasure talking to you, ladies.
We're so glad to have
from
you.
the cheer world, we're very grateful for the two of you because you guys are a light in this world. And I know everyone loves watching you guys and learning from you guys.
That is very sweet. We got to give it right back to you
Yeah.
all because, and I say it all the time, and I say it at every clinic that I'm at. We love our job, but it is our job, and all of you that devote, and you are the perfect example. All of this time, all of this energy, all of this positivity. So we throw that way. We appreciate it, but we throw it way back to you. And part of the reason why we love it is because of people like you out there we're all just really reaching toward the same goal and making this the best experience for these youth athletes. So We thank you so much. Thank you, everybody out there, for taking the time to either take a look or a listen. We'll be back next week with another fabulous episode. I don't want to say what it is because we might change our minds and do something else again and throw something in the mix. So come back next week and see what we've got. Have the best week ever. Be kind to one another, and we'll see you all very soon. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.